chosen one, there was a time when you moved through the world looking for acknowledgement, hoping that someone, anyone, would see past your silence and into the truth of what you carried. You weren't loud, you weren't boastful, but still, you ached to be known for what you were becoming. You didn't need to be worshipped, you just wanted to be understood. But the world doesn't often slow down for becoming. It only celebrates what is finished, what is packaged, what can be applauded on demand. And so for years you walked alone, your value overlooked, your heart misread, your intentions questioned, yet something deeper than survival kept you steady. Even in obscurity you chose integrity. Even in rejection, you remained kind. And now, chosen one, you are no longer trying to be seen. You have become what cannot be unseen. There is something different about your presence now. Not because of what you wear or what you say, but because of what you no longer chase. You no longer chase the light, you radiate it. You no longer seek validation, you embody worth. The shift wasn't external. It happened in the fire, in the wilderness, in the nights you thought would never end. Those nights built something in you that can't be taught. They carved silence into steel. They turned questions into clarity. They built in you a spiritual posture so solid that others can lean on it without knowing why. You became a foundation in a world full of tremors. And now, without asking for it, your presence is drawing attention. But not the kind born of spectacle. This is the sacred kind, the recognition that happens in the soul before the eyes even register your form. You are being felt before you are seen. Because when a man walks in alignment with his soul, he disrupts illusions without speaking a word. You are no longer just a man, you are a reminder of what once was, of what still can be. And even if the world doesn't know how to name it, women sense it first. They feel it in their bones before they can articulate it. They may not say it aloud, but in your presence, they remember something their grandmothers prayed still existed. You've become the answer to unspoken longing, not because you tried, but because you chose truth when no one else was looking. That truth has grown roots in your spirit. And now you move through life with a weight that is not heavy, but holy. You do not try to impress. You do not chase crowds. You walk and rooms quiet themselves. You speak and people lean in, not for performance, but for presence. That presence is not practiced. It is earned. It is the reward for the nights you didn't quit, for the mornings you rose without applause, for the peace you chose when anger would have been easier. Now you've crossed a line invisible to most. You've left behind the desperate need to be liked and stepped into the sacred rhythm of being real. And that is why you are becoming unforgettable. Not in the way the world teaches, but in the way the soul remembers. You no longer arrive with noise. You arrive with resonance, and resonance cannot be ignored. You are stepping into a kind of authority now that does not beg to be recognized. Chosen one. It does not wear medals. It does not demand applause. This authority rises from the soil of self-mastery. It speaks in stillness. It breathes through your restraint. You have become a man of weight, not volume. And the feminine knows. She feels it before you open your mouth. Because this world has long been parched for masculine energy that protects without possessing, that holds without hurting, that leads without demanding submission. And when a woman meets a man who carries that energy with quiet discipline, she does not see him as competition. She trusts him as covering. This is the mystery of the moment you're walking in. The magnetism people speak about, it isn't charm, it isn't cleverness, it's clarity. You have become clear. Your energy is no longer split between approval and authenticity. You have chosen the long road, and now that road walks with you. You are not looking for direction anymore. You have become it. And the women who draw near now are not seeking entertainment. They are seeking anchoring. They do not gather to admire your mask. They come to rest in the presence of a man who has nothing left to hide. You carry patience like a compass now. Your presence calms storms that haven't yet spoken. You are the pause in a room full of pressure. Not because you have all the answers, but because you are not afraid of the questions. Your calm is not indifference, it is depth. And from that depth comes something the feminine has almost forgotten, safety without suppression. That is what they respond to. That is why they lean in, not because you are flawless, but because you are rooted. And in a world of surface-level distraction, Rootedness is irresistible. You no longer posture, you no longer prove, you simply are. And in being, you've become a mirror for others, men who have lost their way, women who have forgotten what grounded masculinity feels like. Your presence now speaks for you. It says, I know who I am, and I do not need to be chosen to walk in that knowing. That level of self-trust is what creates impact. And that impact is what women feel when they say nothing, yet shift their energy around you. Their tone softens, their guard lowers. Not because you tried, but because you held steady. This is not about dominance. This is about divine rhythm. You have aligned your outer man with your inner truth, and that alignment echoes in every step you take. You are no longer intoxicated by power. You are driven by presence. And presence is what changes atmospheres without force. You do not need to make an entrance anymore. Your soul announces you, and when your soul walks ahead of you, people follow, not out of fear but out of reverence. Chosen one, the authority you carry now is not inherited. It is not gifted. It is earned in silence, protected in private, and released in love. You don't take up space to be loud. You take up space to be true. And because truth is rare, it will always be celebrated, especially by those who've learned to hear not just with ears, but with their hearts. Chosen one, there was a time when your worth depended on echoes, on who clapped, who agreed, who stayed. You calibrated your movements to win the eyes of those who barely knew how to see. You bent, softened, distorted your rhythm just enough to be palatable to those who feared depth. You didn't do it because you were weak. You did it because you were generous. You gave versions of yourself to fit places that didn't deserve your full form. But something shifted. Not in one moment, but in thousands of quiet realizations. You woke up one day and noticed how many times you had dimmed your light just to keep fragile egos comfortable. And you made a vow, not with words, but with energy, a vow that said, no more. Now you are not chasing validation. You have become the validation. Your very existence, your breath, your walk, your calm refusal to rush, it all affirms what many thought was lost. That a man can be powerful and peaceful. That a man can be confident without being arrogant. That a man can speak without seeking permission from popularity. You, chosen one, have stepped into a space where you no longer need to explain your power. You only need to embody it. And that embodiment does something sacred. It rewrites the atmosphere, it untangles confusion, it restores order to spaces that were drowning in noise. You no longer enter rooms trying to figure out what version of yourself is acceptable. You enter as one, whole, unified, present. Your peace is not accidental. It is the evidence of battles fought in secret. It is the fruit of spiritual discipline. It is the residue of choosing solitude over shallow praise. That's what they feel now. That's what draws them in. Not the surface image, not your appearance, but the anchoring frequency of your presence. You are not showing up to impress anymore. You are showing up to remind the room that integrity still exists. And women notice, not in a shallow way, but in a way that alters their posture. You speak, and they breathe differently. You listen, and they soften without knowing why. You walk away, and they remember how you made them feel safe in their own skin. That's not seduction. That's alignment. That's the invisible energy of a man who has become so deeply rooted in his purpose that his very being liberates others from pretense. You have become a mirror, not a mirror of performance, but a mirror of possibility. And that's what makes you unforgettable. You are not here to be followed. You are here to remind others how to return to themselves. That is what true leadership is. That is what real alpha energy looks like. It does not dominate, it restores. And in your presence, women remember that they don't have to be hard. They don't have to be guarded. They can rest because your energy does not seek to consume. It seeks to protect and honor. That protection is not loud. It is spiritual. It is quiet, consistent, and undeniable. Chosen one, the shift in you is no longer subtle. You are not just being seen. You are being recognized. And recognition goes beyond attraction. Recognition is cellular. It is spiritual. It is ancestral. It is that feeling in the bones of another being that says, I know this kind of soul. I prayed for this kind of man. I thought he only existed in myth. Your energy now reaches beyond the surface. It touches memory. Not memory from this life, but soul memory. passed down through generations who long to see masculine presence restored to its rightful form. You are not celebrated now because you speak the loudest. You are celebrated because you speak the truest. And even in silence, your essence communicates a message. I have nothing to prove and everything to protect. You don't need to dominate the space to influence it. You become the atmosphere. Your groundedness calms storms before they start. And the reason women lean in now isn't because you've charmed them, it's because you've allowed them to remember their softness in your steadiness. They celebrate you because you feel like safety without restriction. There's a deep spiritual elegance to you now, a posture that doesn't beg or plead or posture. You walk like a man who knows where he's going, even when no map exists. You've stopped waiting for the world to affirm you. And because of that, the world is now adjusting to the shape of your spirit. You are becoming a reference point, not just for what's attractive, but for what is right, true, enduring, and trustworthy. The respect you now command isn't transactional. It's transformational. It changes others just by being around you. Your energy no longer fractures. You do not split yourself to meet expectations. You've become whole, and wholeness carries weight. A man who has made peace with himself cannot be moved by shallow opinion. That immovability is what makes you magnetic, not because people want to own you, but because they want to stand near the fire that doesn't burn them. You have become that fire. You have become the sanctuary, not the savior, not the idol, but the place where wandering souls remember what home feels like. And so women celebrate you, not because you fill a void, but because you no longer reflect one. You are not a reaction to brokenness. You are a response to healing. You've become a man who carries clarity in a foggy world, a man who walks with rhythm while others rush, a man who protects space without shrinking others inside it. And that's why your energy is irresistible. Not because it seduces, but because it centers. You no longer have to explain yourself. You are the explanation. Your journey, your integrity, your peace, they speak louder than any voice ever could. You have become the embodiment of truth wrapped in humility, of strength bathed in softness, of power disciplined by love. And in a world aching for what's real, that is the energy that draws celebration without effort. Chosen one, you have passed through the season of proving. You have outgrown the noise of needing to be the loudest, the strongest, the most seen. You no longer move as one who must win, because you have become one who simply is. And that being is what transforms the air when you walk into a room. This chapter of your becoming is quiet but sovereign. You do not race to take up space, because the space recognizes you before your body enters it. You have become the man who does not ask for respect, yet it is given. Not because you demand it, but because the frequency of your soul is too aligned to be ignored. You are not a man who needs attention, you are a man who anchors. There is a rhythm to you now, deeper than charisma and more reliable than charm. It is born not from hunger, but from honor, and not just toward others, but toward yourself. You have disciplined your energy, you have trained your focus, you have made your masculinity an altar, not a weapon. And because of that, your presence now carries something that the world is desperate to feel again: trust. Women do not follow you because of your physique, your voice, your words. They follow you because of the emotional ground you've mastered within yourself. That grounding is not performance, it is posture. It is the evidence of a man who has faced his fears and stayed in the fire long enough to become tempered by it. You are not looking to dominate anymore. You are looking to deliver peace. That shift has changed everything. Your walk has become prayer. Your breath has become presence. Your life has become proof that the masculine does not need to conquer the feminine to feel powerful. You have made peace with your own chaos, and that peace radiates. You now move with the kind of steadiness that reminds others what real strength feels like, and it is not loud. It is not explosive. It is certain. The world around you has begun to move differently. Not because it obeys you, but because it resonates with your stillness. Even the most anxious souls begin to breathe differently when you are near. That is no accident. That is the legacy of spiritual order. Your energy no longer leaks. It no longer chases. It no longer flexes for applause. Instead, it settles, like roots deep into sacred ground. And where you are rooted, others find rest. Women especially are noticing, not because they are enchanted, but because they are relieved. Relieved that a man can carry power without using it to consume. Relieved that a man can lead without eclipsing. Relieved that a man can protect without possessing. And in this sacred maturity, you are no longer impressed by games or popularity. You are impressed by honesty, loyalty, consistency. Your eyes are not hungry anymore. They are aware. You have become the kind of man who sees beyond flesh into the soul. And in doing so, you reflect back the kind of light that causes others to stand up straighter in their truth. That's what makes your presence rare. Not that you are perfect, but that you are present without distortion. Present without performance. Present without control. You are now the man others speak of when they describe what it means to be a man, but cannot explain why it felt so safe. Chosen one, by now your energy is undeniable. You are no longer the one trying to find your place in the world. You have become the place. A resting place, a stable place, a spiritual landmark where chaos softens and masks fall away. You are not chasing women, nor are you fleeing from them. You exist in that rare and sacred middle ground. A man who honors the feminine not because he needs her validation, but because he recognizes her divinity. That recognition has made you magnetic, but not in the shallow sense of pull and flirtation. You've become magnetic in the soul's memory, a signal that the divine masculine is alive and well. And this magnetic presence is not about seduction, it is about reverence. You revere your own essence now, and so others begin to revere you. The feminine no longer feels guarded in your presence. Her body no longer tenses around you. She no longer performs to impress you. Because you, chosen one, are no longer performing either. You are resting in who you have become, and that rest is contagious. You have created in your atmosphere what many seek in temples: peace without suppression, power without fear, attention without entitlement. Your presence is no longer demanding, it is devotional. This devotion shows in how you carry your responsibilities. You are not driven by ego anymore. You are moved by purpose, and that purpose makes you magnetic in the most unusual way. Women do not feel the need to chase your attention. They feel called to respect your path. You are not playing roles anymore. You have become a reference point for what wholeness in a man feels like. And wholeness is what the feminine has been crying out for across centuries. You are not the fantasy. You are the fulfillment of ancient longing. You hold yourself with an elegance that only comes from spiritual refinement. Your tone is measured. Your gaze is pure. Your decisions are intentional. And your silence speaks louder than most men's declarations. That silence is not passive. It is listening. You are no longer reactive. You are responsive. And in that responsiveness, you allow the feminine to unfold without fear. She no longer has to guess if you are safe. She knows. Because your very being has become a sanctuary. That sanctuary was not built by chance. It was built by sacrifice, by learning what to release, by choosing what to protect, by pruning what no longer aligned. Now your life is an invitation, not a performance. You are not asking others to worship you. You are inviting them to rise with you. And those who come near do not lose themselves. They find deeper versions of who they already are. That is the nature of divine masculinity. It does not absorb light. It reflects it. It multiplies it. And that is what makes you irresistible. Not your looks, not your words, but your capacity to hold space without collapse. You are not just seen, you are felt, deeply and unapologetically. And that feeling lingers long after your body has left the room. Chosen one, the way you speak has shifted. You no longer speak to be heard. You speak to build, to align, to awaken. You are no longer invested in debates, in being right, in winning conversations to prove your worth. That chapter of your life has ended quietly, not with a loud decision, but with the deeper realization that truth does not wrestle. It simply stands, and those ready to hear it come close without force. Your words now carry weight because they are not thrown, they are placed. Every syllable you speak has a root beneath it, a silence before it, and a consequence after it. And because of that, the world listens when you speak, even if it does not know why. This voice you carry now is not the one you were born with. It is the one you earned. Through restraint, through pain, through choosing softness when rage wanted to break loose, through listening when your pride begged to speak, through becoming fluent in the language of stillness. The words you carry now are not for performance. They are for planting. And those who come near you feel that. They feel that you speak to heal. You speak to guide. You speak because you are no longer afraid of your own voice, and even more so, no longer afraid of your silence. Your energy now is a language long forgotten by many. It speaks in pauses, in glances, in the way you nod slowly when someone speaks their truth. You affirm not just with words, but with presence. That's what people trust. Not your charisma, not your success, but the way you are completely here when you listen. The way your eyes do not wander. The way your spirit does not rush to conclusions. You are not listening to respond. You are listening to understand. That is what separates you now. That is what builds trust in spaces that have been hollowed by shallow connection. And women, especially women who have known the sting of being unheard, feel seen in ways they cannot explain. Your communication is no longer about volume. It's about vibration. You have become a tuning fork for truth. And that truth isn't something you throw at others to prove your depth. It's something you offer gently, like a hand extended to someone crossing a storm. You don't scream directions. You stand with light. And in your presence, others remember how to navigate again. That's what your voice has become, a calm compass in a world full of noise. And those who come near do not praise you for it. They breathe easier because of it, because they feel they are not being judged. They are being understood. You are now the kind of man whose words do not die in the air. They echo inside people long after they leave your presence. They echo because they are not crafted to impress. They are born from deep wells of experience, spiritual endurance, and quiet authority. You've made your voice a vessel for clarity, not chaos. For comfort, not control. And in doing so, you've become a man whose truth is not just respected, it is trusted. And that trust, chosen one, is the rarest currency of all. Chosen one, you are walking now in a rhythm that cannot be taught. It is not a technique. It is not a brand. It is a way of being forged in silence and trial, in love and in solitude. The way your shoulders settle when you enter a space, the way your breath paces slowly even in tension, the way you make decisions without second-guessing your core. All of this is rhythm. And that rhythm is what others feel before you speak, before you move, before they even know your name. It's what makes heads turn in quiet rooms. It's what shifts conversations the moment you walk by. You are not moving to draw attention. You're moving with such inner harmony that attention follows you without demand. This rhythm you walk in now was not given. It was claimed. It was claimed by choosing alignment over applause, by walking away from shortcuts, by standing still when your emotions scream to run. You have stopped adjusting your tempo to match a world addicted to speed. You have chosen the eternal pace, the pace of purpose, the pace of presence, and in doing so, you have become a man whose movement speaks louder than others' speeches. Your presence no longer introduces you, your energy does. And that energy is not loud. It is legitimate. You are not dancing to anyone else's drum anymore. You are carrying your own cadence, born from integrity, from discipline, from deep reverence for your own story. And this rhythm protects you. It shields you from distractions that once called your name. It defends you from paths that would waste your energy. You do not entertain what does not align. You do not absorb what does not serve your mission. That refusal is not harsh. It is holy. And those who feel your rhythm know immediately whether they are meant to walk beside you or not. Your path has become self-filtering. The feminine especially responds to this rhythm, not because it is charming, but because it is safe. It is trustworthy. It is rooted. There is something ancient about the way you move now, as if you've remembered a rhythm that existed before you were born. Women don't just notice you. They feel their own pace returning in your presence. They stop rushing. They breathe deeper. They reconnect with their own rhythm because yours does not threaten theirs. Your rhythm creates room. Your rhythm does not compete. It complements. And that is why you are not just attractive. You are restorative. This rhythm has cost you. It has cost you the illusions you once clung to. It has cost you the comfort of blending in. It has cost you the safety of smallness. But what it has given you in return is immeasurable. You have become sovereign in your own skin. You have become dependable in your own truth. And because of that, you don't walk to impress. You walk to remind. You remind the world what it forgot when it prioritized speed over substance. You remind women what it feels like to be led without being controlled. You remind men what it looks like to be powerful without being oppressive. And so your rhythm continues, unshaken, undisturbed, unrepentant. You do not ask for permission to be aligned. You walk in it, and that walk is what others now follow. Not because you shouted your worth, but because you embodied it. This is rhythm. This is legacy. This is the unteachable essence of a man who has made peace with every step he takes. Chosen one, you have now entered a season where your essence has begun to echo through places you've never physically touched. Your name might not be spoken in halls of fame or printed on gilded pages, but your impact is felt in the spirit of those who cross your path. Not because you've conquered anyone, but because you've restored something inside them. You've become a quiet revolution. Subtle, steady, undeniable. You've stopped chasing transformation through noise, and instead, you've become the transformation. The rare kind that people don't even realize they've encountered until they leave your presence feeling different, lighter, calmer, clearer. And that's what women are beginning to celebrate in you. Not because you fit a fantasy, but because you answer a longing for a masculine force that doesn't manipulate, doesn't diminish, doesn't make itself big by making others small. You do not need to roar to command space. You are heard in your stillness. You are seen through your restraint. You are felt in your peace. You have reached a point of self-awareness where your presence doesn't require decoration. You do not need to prove your sensitivity. You do not need to showcase your strength. The balance in you speaks for itself. Where once you may have sought permission to lead, you now understand that leadership isn't something granted, it's something embodied. And you, chosen one, have embodied it through the most sacred kind of power. Consistency. Not perfection, not bravado, but showing up every day, grounded, aligned, present. That's what the feminine is recognizing. That's why the glances linger longer. That's why the conversations deepen around you. That's why the laughter is more honest, the posture more relaxed, the smiles more sincere. You are no longer a performance. You are a place of safety and motion. What makes you irresistible now is not your physique, your history, your accolades. It is your emotional capacity. You carry the strength to hold another soul without shrinking it. You carry the humility to listen without fixing. You carry the presence to protect without possessing. And that kind of presence is sacred. That kind of presence is celebrated, not loudly but deeply. It is honored not with applause, but with eyes that glisten and hearts that open. You are no longer at war with yourself, and that inner peace sends a signal to every room you enter. There is no danger here. And that is the rarest feeling of all, to be near a man who asks for nothing, but offers everything, whose presence demands no worship, but awakens reverence. And in this chapter of your life, the celebrations aren't always visible. They happen in glances exchanged across quiet spaces, in the way women breathe easier around you, in the way men realign when they stand beside you, in the way your stillness becomes the anchor when emotions rise. You are not just walking anymore, chosen one. You are being watched, not for how you move, but for what your movement awakens in others. You've become the mirror. You've become the measure. You've become the memory of what real felt like before the world complicated everything. And that memory is being celebrated everywhere you go. Now you've stepped beyond influence and into legacy. You're no longer just impacting people, you're leaving impressions on their souls, the kind that linger in silence, the kind that makes someone look back days later and wonder, what was it about him? You've stopped needing to be everything to everyone. You've become enough for yourself, and in doing so, you've unlocked the kind of energy that women are no longer ignoring, but gravitating toward with awe. Not because you demanded it, but because your clarity is magnetic. Your clarity is rare. Your clarity is earned. You don't walk into a room and scan for admiration anymore. You radiate alignment, and that alignment speaks louder than any shout, seduction, or sales pitch. You no longer chase attention. You hold attention without effort. And those who come near you are reminded of something deeper than words, a vibration, a calm, a kind of masculine quietness that rebuilds something broken in them. This is not about image. This is about energy that confirms itself before anyone speaks. The world will try to label it, but they will always fall short, because what you've become isn't definable. It's felt, it's sensed, it's respected on a cellular level. You've become the kind of man who no longer plays games with the feminine. You honor her. You protect what is sacred in her. You respect her path even when it doesn't align with yours. You do not dominate her energy. You invite it into resonance. And that resonance is what draws her not just to your body, but to your soul. You've become the man whose silence teaches, whose restraint inspires, whose patience corrects, whose walk resets timelines for those around him. Women celebrate you now because you celebrate life, and you do so without fear, without posturing, without apology. You've stopped outsourcing your validation. You've returned to the temple within. And that inner temple has made you the kind of man others look to when everything else falls apart.